Hi, I'm Brianna.
And I'm Akira.
And you're watching
DONTAE'S Boxing Nation.
Brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
Hey yo, check this out, this is Flavor Flav, and if you want the whole truth and nothing but the whole truth, so help the whole truth. Hey yo, you better listen to Dante, baby. Dante!
What's going on, guys, and welcome to another great edition of the Dante's Boxing Nation show. I am your host, Dante, and we have another great show for you guys. As always, we had a hell of a week of boxing, and I can't wait to talk about it, man. I can't wait to talk about it. So anyway, guys, once again, I want to say thank you guys for always tuning in. Thanks to everybody who donated to my channel, who bought shirts. I'm going to have those hats on deck. Everybody keeps asking when the hats are going to be on sale. I'm going to have those on the website very shortly, okay, guys? So let's go ahead and get into the show. Let me introduce my man, A-Rap King. Check out his YouTube channel. He's online with us. Go ahead and subscribe if you guys haven't already subscribed. What's going on, AK?
What's up, Dante?
All right, man. We had a good weekend of boxing, AK. Let's get right into it. Now, Crawford, as we all predicted last week, and you know, once again, to the fans, apologies, because we actually did the show last week. We had a really good show. We had E-King Fight News, Boxing Ego, AK on the show, and we had some issues, technical issues. So I decided to take the video down because I uploaded it and I didn't like the quality of it, so I took it down. But it was a real good show, and obviously we all picked Crawford to win this fight. So let's start with the undercard, AK. Now, Oscar Valdez, congratulations to Oscar Valdez, fast rising star at the featherweight division. He knocked out an undefeated Argentinian fighter by the name of Matias Rueda. And I expected this to be a competitive back and forth type of battle for as long as it lasted. But credit to Oscar Valdez, he pretty much ran over this boy. You know, he showed some very impressive combinations, reflexes. He was hurting this boy with almost every punch he threw, and he knocked him out in the second round. So congratulations to him. What would you like to see next for Oscar Valdez, AK? You got Gary Russell Jr., you got the winner of Cruz-Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz, which we're going to talk about that fight later on as well. What do you want to see next for someone like Oscar Valdez?
I was really impressed, too, by Oscar Valdez, and he seems to have a lot of power. And I didn't know the guy he fought, but, you know, he still ran over him, and he did his thing. So that's what you're supposed to do with an unknown fighter. And as far as who I like to see him next in with, I would like to see him. The ultimate test, really, in my books, is him versus Gary Russell, because since Lomachenko's out of the featherweight division, you could say Gary Russell is the number one guy right now, or
no
he has the potentials to be the number one guy. So that's the ultimate test, you know, if he could beat Gary Russell. But at this point, from what I'm seeing, I'll probably favor Gary Russell. But I would like to see him versus the winner versus Cruz and Frampton. And since he has a WBO, I think, which is Lomachenko, the vacant belt of Lomachenko, you know, they could unify the division versus the winner of Frampton and Cruz, the coward of the king. And then whoever wins that fight could fight Gary Russell. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, AK. I don't see anybody. You know, Oscar Valdez is a beast, and I would say outside of Gary Russell, Oscar Valdez, he could probably handle the majority of these guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz, those are 50-50 fights. But, of course, the Francisco Vargases and the Orlando Salidos, fighters like that, I would see Oscar Valdez, beating them fighters. But when it comes to Gary Russell Jr., I think Gary is on a whole nother level, and that's no diss to Oscar Valdez. That's just how good Gary Russell is. There's definitely levels to this. So, I hope it happens, though.
Yeah, and the thing about Oscar Valdez is that he has a lot of power, but we haven't seen him versus somebody known, so I could judge him based on that. He do seem like he let his hands go, and he's not afraid to let his hands go, and he has a lot of power, and he's a natural featherweight.
Yeah.
So versus Cruz and Frampton, you're probably 50-50, or you could even lean toward him because he's really a natural bigger guy. But versus Gary Russell, that's a tested fighter with a deep amateur background and crazy hand speed. And like I said, if you're not Lomachenko, then it's going to be really hard to mess with Gary Russell right now, 126.
I totally agree. And I think we just have someone else chime in right now. Who's that? Okay, I thought I heard somebody call in right now. Okay, but let's go ahead and move on. Before we get to the main event, someone else we have to talk about, man, is Jose Benavidez, man. Jose Benavidez, he was on the undercard of this Crawford versus Postal fight. He got a unanimous decision over Santana. And this is so funny, man, because this fight was extremely close, and it looked like it was about to be a huge upset because all of us, well, what I really want to say is when I was looking at the scorecards, or before the scorecards was announced, excuse me, guys, I was telling everybody next to me because I was watching the fight live, I said I would not be surprised if the judges, if at least 2 of the 3 judges, they have this fight by a landslide for Jose Benavidez. And as soon as they announced the scorecards, that's exactly how they had it. 2 judges. One judge actually had the fight 10-0 against for Jose Benavidez over Santana. Another guy, he had it close to that, and there was only one judge that actually had the fight close. But this is what I will tell you guys about this performance. I personally think that Jose Benavidez, he was kind of exposed in this fight. No doubt about it. Jose Benavidez, he's a very, very talented fighter. But, AK, this just goes to show you, man, that no matter how good some fighters are as amateurs, some fighters just cannot make that transition over to the pro rankings and be as dominant as they were, in the amateurs. Because Jose Benavidez, he won like 15 national titles. He was a beast. I think he even beat Gary Russell's brother in one of the main national tournaments. Okay, so he was a big deal. But now that I'm seeing him fight, and when he fought against Santana, you could tell he was having a lot of problems dealing with Santana's pressure. Every time Santana basically came forward, you would always see Benavidez's back against the ropes. He would be jumping from one side of the ring to the other side of the ring with his back against the ropes, and he did nothing but basically just shell up into a high guard. And Santana was throwing damn near 30 punches to Jose Benavidez is like 1 or 2. Benavidez would come back with like somewhat of a hard little hook, but a lot of times it wouldn't even land. So he was getting overworked and out-hustled by Santana, who had about 4 defeats. I felt he was really exposed in this fight. He needs to go back to the drawing board. He needs to learn how to fight off the ropes. He was trying to keep the fight in the center of the ring, but he didn't know how to. There's only a couple fighters in boxing that are so special that they can lay on the ropes and they could basically have you or put you at a disadvantage. And that's fighters like, of course, Floyd Mayweather and Roy Jones Jr. But Jose Benavidez, he looked like a fish out of water when he was on the ropes. He looked like he didn't know what to do. And basically, Jose Benavidez, he started off early winning, I think, like the first 2 rounds. And then all of a sudden, it looked like Santana, he basically took over. And he started to out-hustle Benavidez for at least the next, 6 or 7 rounds. And then, or I don't remember exactly how many rounds, because I do slightly give an edge to Jose Benavidez. You could argue that he might have won the fight by a round because he rallied back in the second half of the fight. And it looked like to me, Santana himself, he got a little tired because he was walking down. Santana was walking down Jose Benavidez for the most part of the fight. And then around maybe the 7th round, that's when Santana started to slow down. And Benavidez, he started to use more foot movement. He started to box more. He stayed off the ropes a little bit better, and he won a couple rounds towards the end of the fight. That's why it's so unbelievable that a judge actually had to fight 10 rounds to 0. So go ahead. You was about to say?
Man, the score was crazy, but it's funny you say that you think he's exposed, because when he first turned pro, man, I was really high on him. I was looking forward to him stepping up, and I kept asking when he's going to step up. And when he did, even when he didn't fight like a beast or nothing, but just somebody with a good record, I noticed right away he has no inside game.
Yeah.
With his height and reach.
Yeah.
He had no inside game. And then the bad part is that he can't keep you at a distance. He can't control the range. He can't, he's a real tall fighter with a long reach and a crazy speed, so he just have a hard time keeping fighters at a distance, even though you would think, if he have a hard, mean jab, he could do that, and just maintain his distance. And when a fighter gets in, he could hold them. But, he really looks exposed. And I saw the highlights. I didn't see the whole fight. But, he looked horrible. He was getting caught. He was getting outworked. And I kind of noticed that a couple fights ago, though. That's not the first fight, even before the Herrera fight. And that's why I actually picked Herrera to beat him, because of that reason. But, man, they began giving him crazy gift decisions, though. I ain't going to lie, because the Herrera fight was a decision. And this one, you said 2 judges gave him 10 rounds, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, it could be argued that Santana won the fight, but just when you see a scorecard of 10 rounds to 0, that just lets you know that even if Santana would have actually won the fight hands down, the judges would have still had to fight for Jose Benavidez. So it really it didn't matter what Santana did in this fight. But you are right, though, AK. Jose Benavidez, he definitely needs to work on his inside game. Once again, this just goes.
You don't think you don't want to see him versus Crawford?
Oh man, don't even bring up the C word. Don't even bring up the C word when it comes to. Not right now, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, and hey, AK, we was talking about this while we were watching the fight. I don't even know if Jose Benavidez can beat Lucas Matisse right now, man. I mean, because I was
gonna say that, him versus Matisse, that's a good fight.
That would be an excellent fight, like you said, because the lack of inside work. The thing, Jose Benavidez, he has a great jab, but man, when you get on the inside and you back him up, it's like he doesn't know what to do. All he was really throwing when he was on the ropes, he would throw a couple good uppercuts. He threw a couple of hooks. But for the most part, he just stood there with his hands up. At first, I thought he was playing possum, in the first couple rounds. But then I noticed after the third, fourth round, he was still doing it. I was waiting for him to come back and surprise Santana with something, but there was no surprise. He didn't really know what to do, on the inside and with his back against the ropes. Waiting, and actually Terrence Crawford said the same thing in the post-fight press conference. They was waiting for Victor Postol to throw that right hand so that they could counter his right hand with Crawford's left hand, right? And if you go back and you watch the replay of the first knockdown, that is exactly what Crawford did. Crawford waited for Postol to throw the right hand. Postol threw the right hand to the solar plexus, but he missed, and then Crawford he countered him with a perfect left hand that hurt and technically knocked down Victor Postol. So I was real impressive, just like you just said, AK. The fact that Crawford, you said if you believe that he could have fought him toe to toe, or he could have been the aggressor, and Crawford would have still won. We know that to be the case. We know that's true because if you watch the last round, that's exactly what we seen. We seen Crawford basically show Victor Postol, if I want to get aggressive with you, I can do that. If I want to go toe-to-toe with you, I can do that, and I'll still get the best of you. And that's exactly what Crawford showed. It's definitely a misconception when you look at Victor Postol coming forward. It looked like he was being the aggressor, but just like you said, AK, he wasn't throwing any punches. It was what you call ineffective aggression. He didn't have the different dimensions. He did not know how to adjust. When I say that he's straight up and down, I really mean Victor Postol. He's straight up and down because I noticed he wasn't using any feints when he was following Crawford. I mean, when you're fighting against a guy who's trying to counter you, that's what feints are for. You use feints so you can feint that person out of position. So, so they can't time you, right? And Victor Postal, he wasn't using any feints. All he was doing was following with this pawing jab and trying to land a right hand. It was the same strategy over and over throughout the entire fight. Plan A, plan A, plan A, no plan B. But Crawford, he showed Postal how you fight a person who's moving away. When Crawford got aggressive, he showed Postal what he was supposed to be doing to Crawford earlier. You feel me? So that again, that shows you the dimensions.
That's a great point about the feinting. He wasn't feinting at all. I mean, if you're fighting a guy who's trying to counter you, you're supposed to feint him to see how he reacts.
Yeah.
So so to know what you're gonna what
to expect,
throw and when to throw it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be throwing punches out there, and he wasn't. But another thing too, you call it ineffective aggression. I call it fake aggression, because as soon as Crawford steps up to him, because he's chasing him, he wants to fight, right? As soon as Crawford, stands his ground and want to fight him, what he do? He start backing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So him speaking in the press conference talking about, I was just doing that to make it a fun fight, blah blah blah. This and that. I'm like, nah. You just, he just figured you out, adjusted, and that's the impressive thing about Crawford. That he adjusts on the fly, man. Most of his fights, you watch the first 2-3 rounds, you be like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a chess match or a competitive fight, and then past the third or fourth round, he just completely start dominating the guy. You know what I mean? All he's doing is really reading the guy, finding his rhythm, and once he does that, he just roll over all his opponents. And I'm telling you, man, Crawford looked like the truth. Top 5 pound for pound for sure. You could say top 3. I mean, you could put him number 3. I mean, the only guys I could see above him right now is just Andre Ward and Rigondeaux. But yeah, you could put him number 3 right now. What do you got him on the pound for pound list at this moment?
I would put him in the top 3. I would put him in the top 3, and I'll leave it at that for now. I mean, once again, if we're talking about accomplishments, and the resume of these fighters, you would have to have Terrence Crawford top 3. A lot of people, they try to take away a little credit from Crawford when he beat Gamboa, but even Crawford says to this day his toughest opponent was Gamboa. The only person to actually hurt Crawford to this day was Gamboa. So I mean, the fact that he beat someone like a Gamboa, I mean, it's almost equivalent to beating a Guillermo Rigondeaux. So he beat Guillermo. He beat Gamboa. He went to the UK and beat Ricky Burns. He out hustled tough fighters like Ray Beltran. And I keep forgetting the name of the guy that Roberto Garcia trains from Dominican Republic. But he dominated, knocked him out. Yeah, the one he knocked out. The one he used to be. Yeah. He was undefeated and he was a prospect before he lost. But anyway, he knocked him out. When it comes to Terrence Crawford, even Roy Jones said the same thing. At first Roy Jones said he has to be top 3, and then later on he said, you know what, you could even put Crawford, in the top 2. And I think he put him right next to Andre Ward, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that pound for pound list. But yeah, definitely, I would have him anywhere in the top 2 right now. Because once again, I mean, when it comes to Terrence Crawford, I can't think of anyone like really beating him. I can't think of anybody really beating him right now. There's other fighters in the top 10 or in the top 5, and I could actually picture multiple guys beating him, right? But when it comes to Terrence Crawford, I can't really picture anyone beating him, especially not at 140, but...
Yeah, and let me bring this up. The Manny Pacquiao fight, when I brought it up, people started telling me, oh, man, knowing Pacquiao, I think he's going to come back and fight Crawford. And but he should do what Floyd Mayweather did and wait till Crawford get old, then fight him. Because suggesting that Floyd Mayweather waited till Pacquiao got old and fought him, right? And I'm like, first of all, Floyd Mayweather was older than Pacquiao, so if he waits till Pacquiao to get old, he's only getting older than him. You know what I mean? And he wanted to. We all know he wanted to fight him when he was in his prime. Mm-hmm. So as far as I know, Crawford, if Pacquiao, like you always said, if you want to resurrect his career, you know, Crawford is the guy to do it. If you want to fight the best, then come back fight the best. Because if Floyd Mayweather want to return and he was at top rank and he had nobody else to fight in his, you know, at 147, if you don't want to fight the Thurmans and all them guys, everybody would have told him, oh, you fight Crawford, this and that. But with Pacquiao, they talking about, oh, he could take an easier fight or this and that. So what you think about that, man? Who you want to see Pacquiao versus if he comes back?
Well, let me answer your question, then I'm going to go back to what you said at the beginning. If it were up to me, from a boxing fan's perspective, I would love to see Pacquiao versus Crawford because just like you said, either two things are going to happen. Either that fight is going to create a superstar, which would be Terrence Crawford if he wins. If Pacquiao were to win, then that would resurrect his career. That would be reminiscent of Roberto Duran beating the undefeated young Davey Moore. When when people thought that Roberto Duran was done because he had lost to Sugar Ray Leonard, he came back and he knocked out an undefeated Davey Moore that he was favored to lose against. So yeah, if it was up to me, and I think if it was up to the majority of boxing fans, we would all say we want to see Pacquiao versus Crawford. Now, let me go back to what you said at the beginning. For the fans that do say stuff like, oh, well, he should wait like Floyd Mayweather did, et cetera, et cetera. First of all, Floyd Mayweather, he never waited for Manny Pacquiao. When Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather were both considered pound for pound 1 or 1A, it was Floyd Mayweather that negotiated with Manny Pacquiao. They agreed on all terms, and it was only one person that did not agree to all terms, and that was Manny Pacquiao. See, a lot of people don't understand this. Pacquiao, he actually had demands just like Floyd had demands, right? But the difference is Floyd agreed to all of Manny Pacquiao's demands. It was only Manny Pacquiao who did not agree with all of Floyd Mayweather's demands, and we all know today that was the Olympic-style drug testing. Originally, Manny Pacquiao, he said he wanted a cutoff day of 29 days before the fight. He wanted drug testing to cease 29 days.
Why do you think he wanted that?
We already know. We already know, man. I mean, come on. You tell us. You tell us why, man. You break that down.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. People get mad, but unless you was on something, why wouldn't you? If Floyd Mayweather already met all your demands, and Floyd Mayweather was doing better numbers than at that time, and he was actually the biggest star. But Pacquiao was a big star also. But Floyd Mayweather agreed to everything. Everything was 50-50. All was requested was a drug test. But he says no. He agreed to fight him, but as soon as they brought up the testing thing, he was like, oh, no, I'm scared of needles, this and that. If you say that, I mean, I'm a huge Pacquiao fan, but, hey, I have to believe it. I mean, I have to.
The only reason.
You know,
Crawford, his performance, and why a lot of fans believe that he probably won't fight Pacquiao, but a lot of fans, they want that fight. What was your take on the fight this past weekend, Crawford-Postal?
I think he looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I didn't understand was people were talking and they had that fight 50-50. I don't know, but I just see something in Postal. I didn't have that 50-50. I mean, I thought it was going to be a pretty easy win for Crawford.
Yeah.
And he looked good. I personally feel like he doesn't have to fight Pacquiao, in my opinion. I reverse that. I know he wants to fight him. It's a good money fight. Why not?
But
Pacquiao doesn't have to fight.
But this is my question though, Ms. Boxing Baby. Who else can Crawford fight to basically propel his career into superstar status? If it's not Pacquiao.
I mean, 140 is not really as wide open as welterweight, but he's a young guy. He probably won't be at 140 much longer anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
he probably have a couple more fights and move up to 147 and make the real money. I'm only saying that Pacquiao doesn't have to fight him because that's not going to solidify his career one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? He's already a future Hall of Famer. He's made his mark. You don't have to fight him. That's what I was saying.
See,
but if he takes the fight, then yeah, I'm going with Crawford. I think he'll beat him.
And now, just to counter just slightly, I truly believe, Miss Boxing Baby, no win for Manny Pacquiao can make up for him losing the fight of the decade against Floyd Mayweather. But at the same time, though, if he were to beat a young, hungry lion like Terrence Crawford, not even just Terrence Crawford, let's say a Keith Thurman, a Terrence Crawford, someone on those lines, and he were to beat someone like that, that would definitely slightly make up a little bit for him losing to Floyd Mayweather. And I truly believe that's the only way. That's why Manny Pacquiao, as far as I'm concerned, is still fighting. Of course, he want to still get paid, but he's not satisfied because he knows deep down in his heart he lost the most important fight of his career. So I think he's trying to make up for that right now. And
I think he's praying that Floyd come out of retirement and give him a part 2.
Likewise. Oh yeah, that as well. But that's that's on the lines of what I'm saying as well, though. He's not satisfied. He lost that fight. He wants either a rematch with Mayweather, or he should. I'm not saying this is what he wants, but he should be wanting to fight one of these young lions if he doesn't get Mayweather. Because if you just continue to fight guys that you are, massively favored over, then, I mean, what is that really doing for his career? Only thing that's really doing something for is his bank account.
But the thing is, he's already, in my opinion, just like Floyd, everybody and their mama at welterweight called Floyd out right now. If Floyd was to keep fighting all these people, he'd be fighting till he was 60. He knows that he doesn't have to fight these people. I'm not comparing Pacquiao to him. What I'm saying is Pacquiao's legacy is already cemented. Whether he lost to Mayweather or not, because he's gonna lose to him whatever they fought. They're just two different fighters. But he has nothing left to prove, in my opinion. You did what all you had to do. You fought 8 divisions. He really don't have to fight nobody else. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's already first-time ballot future Hall of Famer. He don't have to fight nobody else. Now, if he chooses to, that's fine. But all them young guys that calling him out, they're always calling out Floyd too. You think Floyd's gonna fight all them dudes for what? Mm-hmm. Don't have to. But
I think I think Floyd's situation is different because Floyd won the fight of the decade. So he really, so Floyd really doesn't have anything else to prove. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying. But
I kept saying this. To me, I don't know if people looking at that Pacquiao fight as solidifying Floyd's legacy. Floyd didn't have to fight him, in my opinion, because once again, his legacy was already cemented. I'm glad they did fight, but he didn't have to. And that's what I'm saying about Manny. He doesn't have to fight any of these dudes. He can retire tomorrow, and he's already straight. Mm-hmm. His legacy's already cemented, even with him losing to Floyd. He doesn't have to fight these young dudes. Now, all these young dudes calling him out. Me personally, I think Bob Arum is a snake. I mean, in my opinion, this is your cash cow. This man made you all this money, and you keep wanting to put him against these young bulls. For what?
Mm-hmm. What? Yeah, I mean.
Well, Bob Arum, what he wants to do, he wants another superstar. So if he could make the Crawford fight happen, and
so
Crawford beat him, he gets another superstar that he can make millions off. But again, Freddie Roach already said that he will do anything in his power to not let the Crawford versus Pacquiao fight happen, basically.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah, and listen. Well, I agree with you on that aspect, Ms. Boxing Baby. Like, yeah, if it was me personally, or my job was to protect Manny Pacquiao and make sure he doesn't lose so we can get some other fight, then yeah, definitely. I would definitely keep Pacquiao way away from Terrence Crawford. But, just speaking from a boxing fan's perspective, that's the fight that I want to see just because, once again, like I said, I know that fight would make Terrence Crawford a superstar if he were to win, or like I said, worst case scenario, Pacquiao wins and it resurrects his career. But but let me just switch gears just a little bit. We're still talking about Crawford, but it was also reported that there's one more champion at the 140-pound division. No one really knows too much about him, but he's actually the IBF and the IBO. I'm thinking, what is it? He's the IBF and the IBO champion, and he's undefeated. He's 24-0 with 21 knockouts, and his name is Eduard Tryavanski or something like that. I'm trying to pronounce it. Tryanovsky. Tryanovsky. I don't know, but he's one of the junior welterweight champions. in the division. I don't know where he emerged from, but he got 2 belts. He has 2 belts. I don't know. Yeah.
Where he from, Dante?
He's from Russia. Tryanovsky.
Oh, okay.
Tryanovsky. I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah.
Okay.
I never heard of him. But what's up?
If I was, I'd do a couple more at 140. What's he going? I mean, he's a young, growing kid. First of all, he came into that fight 150 something pounds. You know he's not going to be there much longer.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, you have another, maybe 1 or 2 more fights, and then move up to 147 and make the real money, because that's where the money really is. Honestly, that division is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
So much money to be made at 147 pounds.
Oh,
and to
yeah.
me, that boy is so talented. I don't really see nobody beating him right now. He's just on a whole nother level.
Oh, no. I don't see anyone beating him, certainly at 140 or anyone coming up from 135.
He got that nasty attitude and
Yeah. I love it. That reminds me of the 80s. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think people realize how impressive that last round was. How often do you see fighters today do stuff like that? You already won the fight. You already dominated the fight. Usually fighters, they just cruise, to the finish line. But all of a sudden, Crawford, he said, you know what, let's go toe-to-toe. And then he staggers the guy, makes the aggressor or the so-called aggressor back up and retreat. And Crawford is standing there like, hey, man, I thought you wanted to go toe-to-toe. You feel me? So, I mean, that was extremely impressive. It just, once again, shows you the different dimensions, the different levels when it comes to Crawford. 1 minute we see him fighting like the aggressor. The next minute, he's pummeling Ricky Burns on the ropes. Next minute, he's in the trenches with Gamboa toe-to-toe, and it's a slugfest. Now we're seeing the boxing, the ring generalship against Victor Postal. We see it all with him, man. We see it all. The check hook was vicious. The straight left was reminiscent of Pacquiao's left hand. So, yeah, man, it's going to be hard to beat that boy.
Yeah, let me tell you something. He's a young Floyd Mayweather. What I'm saying is, at Floyd's young age, he was the most avoided fighter because the risk of fighting him wasn't worth the reward yet. And see, that's Crawford right now. He's still building his name. They're not. Let me tell you right now, them dudes not gonna want no piece of him.
No, yeah.
I don't even have no words. He on a whole nother level. He's just special.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. If I was ready, I would steer clear of him too. Go far away. Go to somebody else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the only real challenge for him in the future will probably be Errol Spence. And
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He beat me to it.
if he fight Keith Thurman now, I favor Crawford. That's how crazy it is. But yeah, I mean, the true challenge is going to be Errol Spence. Which, that's going to be in a couple of years because Crawford's going to stay at 140 for like 1 more year probably.
And I'm telling you right now, and AK, it might just be shaping up as like a future super bout. I'm talking about like Sugar Ray Leonard versus Hearns. If we get Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford in the next couple of years, because I don't see anybody beating Errol Spence at 147 right now, and I don't see anybody beating Terrence Crawford at 140 right now. So that might be the real big one right there. So, we'll see. But, hey, I wanted to talk about this because this is pretty interesting. Now, of course, these stats are not going to really surprise you guys because it was a poll that was conducted by the fans. There's a website that basically did a poll on, who fans thought was pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Miss Boxing Baby, who you think they had as number one, the fans?
The number 1 pound for pound in the world right now?
Yeah.
Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford, I think, is like right behind him. Andre Ward, hands down, for me, anyway.
Well, we already know what, the professional boxing community, boxers and trainers and all them and people who really study the sport. And, it's not agenda-based or bias agenda-based. But what I'm saying is I'm talking about the casual fans because, unfortunately, the majority of people on the internet and even fans you run into on the streets, unfortunately, the majority of them are decafs. They're personal, they're emotionally attached fans. So anyway, this website did this poll, and they had Gennady Golovkin number 1, they had Roman Gonzalez number 2, and they had Andre Ward number 3, and then the list just drops off from there. So I mean, this is my whole thing. if you are looking at Andre Ward's resume versus Golovkin's resume versus Roman Gonzalez's resume, there is no way you can have anybody above Andre Ward. I mean, AK, what do you think about that list?
Yeah, I want to say something about this. I mean, think about this. First of all, Andre Ward, nobody can argue with me that Andre Ward has way better resume than Golovkin. We can all agree on that, right?
Well, of course.
Another thing, we all know Golovkin ducked Andre Ward when Andre Ward tried to fight him. So how the hell? I mean, that already proven that Andre Ward will whoop his ass. And another thing, Andre Ward moved up another division, while Golovkin, this badass monster, is fighting welterweights, and he haven't, these guys at 168, he haven't moved up to fight him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He want to unify his division. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, even his fans don't want him to move up the division, saying, "Oh, he's not that big, though." So how can he be the pound for pound king when he haven't even moved up one weight class? And his resume ain't even that deep. Yeah. So you can't even put him up there, even above Crawford, even above Rigondeaux, because these guys are tested. These guys are reproving themselves. And when you look at the pound-for-pound list, this is how you judge it. First, on your resume. Second, on how good you are right now. And then third, if you fight, like let's say, hypothetically, if Rigondeaux was a 175-pounder, how will he do versus all these 175-pounders?
Yeah.
At all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is how you judge the pound-for-pound list. And that's automatically Andre Ward. So whoever picked Golovkin and Roman Gonzalez, they just fanboys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, private HBO fans, the same people who write the Ring magazine. Let me tell you something. I don't even read that damn magazine.
Oscar De La Hoya. That's Oscar De La Hoya's magazine, by the way. But go ahead.
Every time you happen to glance through it, it's always some bogus ass pound for pound list. Like Andre Ward be somewhere like number 3, number 4. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
How is he behind?
Well, this is.
I'm going on skill level alone. There's nobody above Andre Ward right now with Floyd Mayweather out the game that has a better skill set than him, in my opinion.
And it's not just skill though. It's not just skill though. It's skill and resume. You know what I mean? So
Triple G shouldn't be on that period.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When it.
Or number 10.
He shouldn't. Well, Triple G shouldn't be in the top 5. He shouldn't be in the top 5.
No, he's not. How is he up there number 1 if it's based on? This is why that list is bogus.
Man,
well,
they got him on the top 25 fighters of all time of the past 25 years, so that don't surprise me. Yeah. But another thing, watch when Andre Ward beat Kovalev, everybody gonna shit on Kovalev. They don't know, he wasn't tested anyway.
Oh, they already
to say that Andre Ward, you know what I'm saying, he's not pound for pound number 1, which you can't even argue. I mean, I'm telling you, once Andre Ward proves it, which he already pound for pound number 1 anyways, but for the decaf, once he does it, I'm telling y'all, they're gonna shit on Kovalev.
Andre Ward is in Floyd's position. It don't matter who he beat. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to give him a spot. I'm telling you now. That's the only reason why they probably want him to fight Kovalev anyway. And I guarantee you that most people think Kovalev is going to beat him anyway. He's in a Floyd position. No matter who he beats, they're still going to say the same thing.
Well,
he ain't active enough, and he don't do this, and he don't do. They're going to say the same thing about him.
Well, Virgil Hunter, he said it.
He's just that good.
Well, Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter, he said it to me directly. He said that he believes HBO, they're protecting Golovkin, and the way they protected Golovkin was by asking Andre Ward to move up to fight Sergey Kovalev. And they were hoping to basically continue to build Golovkin while at the same time building Kovalev at Andre Ward's expense. This is what Virgil Hunter said, so, but see, this is the whole thing. And I don't want anyone to take it too serious when I bring up this fans list, because that's not to be taken serious. This is just personally biased fans and this is basically who they like versus who they don't like. It really has nothing to do with resume and skills. It's just a cheerleading type of poll, basically. All right. But we know for a fact that it makes no sense that if Andre Ward was rated number 2 for years below, excuse me, my phone was ringing. If Andre Ward was rated number 2 for years, below Floyd Mayweather, how is it all of a sudden once Floyd Mayweather retires, now he's number 3 behind Golovkin and Roman Gonzalez? It makes no sense. And you can't say, oh, well, it's because Andre Ward was inactive, et cetera, and all this kind of stuff. Well, if he was inactive, why do you even have him at top 3 then? You see what I'm saying? So so that argument doesn't even make sense. You're not going to say, he was inactive, that's why he's not, number one. Oh, but he can still be number 3 while he's inactive. Okay, no, if you're inactive, you shouldn't be on the top 10 at all. If that's the case, so we know when you just look at the logic, it makes no sense. It's completely illogical. Go ahead.
He lose Kovalev so they can take him off that list altogether. I'm telling you, this fight is not to make Andre Ward look good. I hope people know that. This fight is for Kovalev because all in people's mind, they think that Kovalev is going to knock him out, beat him up real bad. That's what this fight is for, in my opinion, anyway. So they're hoping that he lose, and I just feel like he's in a position like Floyd Mayweather was. They never give him his props. It's all over my Instagram. I post Andre Ward, but he ain't fought in this. How can he be on your top list? They never give him any props. Never.
Absolutely.
And that man's skill set, to me, when Floyd was in the game, he was number 2 right behind him.
Yeah.
He's like, when I watch him fight, it's like watching a young B-Hop.
Yeah.
I swear, it's like watching B-Hop all over again. That's what I see when I see him fight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
He's not to be considered.
Yeah. It's illogical. It makes no sense that you would have him at number 3 and have Golovkin at number 1. And like as good as Golovkin is, we know he has never been. He's never even been in a Keith Thurman, Sean Porter type of fight yet. He's never been in a Mayweather Corrales type fight. He's never been in any of these kind of fights. We have never even seen him deal with any type of adversity. Meanwhile, you have Andre Ward moving up to 175 to fight against a guy that fans said he was going to duck, Sergey Kovalev. Even Roman Gonzalez. I wouldn't have Roman Gonzalez in the top 5 either, but at least Roman Gonzalez is even moving up in weight to fight against an undefeated champion at a higher weight class. So, we still have to see that with Gennady Golovkin. And I just want to say real
And Roman Gonzalez's situation is a little different because it's his weight class, so it's not a lot going on right there. But Triple G is in a loaded weight class, so he has no excuse.
Well, see,
even if he can't fight nobody,
I wouldn't even.
Can't fight nobody.
I wouldn't even call it I wouldn't call it a loaded weight class. I'll say he has some people there. I wouldn't call it a loaded one though. But my whole thing is if nobody is there for him to fight, it's time to move up. That's what Adrian Broner did. Adrian could have stayed at 135 for his whole career. He would have still been undefeated today. You know what I mean? He would have still been undefeated, but when he was fighting at 135, fans, they were saying left and right, he needs to move up. He needs to move up. He needs to fight somebody, et cetera, et cetera. So the same thing should apply for Gennady Golovkin. Go ahead, AK. Okay, you there? Miss Boxing Baby, you there? I think we lost him. They're back on? Okay. AK, Miss Boxing Baby?
Yeah, we here. We thought we weren't still online.
No, I asked one of you guys a question. I didn't get a response. So anyway, yeah, I forgot exactly what I was saying, but I was pretty much wrapping that up when I was talking about that. But I was going to tell you guys real quick. Let's talk about this as well. I was just talking to the fans about Boxing Ego's video he just made because I was going to talk about this as well. It was just reported today. Basically, they said that Freddie Roach said he did not want Manny Pacquiao to fight Terrence Crawford. And Boxing Ego, who couldn't make it to do the show today, he just sent me a text of someone posting a comment on his video, and this is what the dude basically said. He said, nigger's gonna nig. That's all y'all ever do. LOL.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is the type of stuff. And what I was just saying to the fans right now is this is what I don't understand. When we talk about the racism, this online, this you always have someone chiming in saying, "Hey, why you got to bring up race? You're race baiting, and stop talking about race and this and that. You're just making things worse." But how come people who send messages like this, how come they never get that type of response? No one ever tells them to stop playing a race card, stop race baiting, stop talking about race, that's all you do, et cetera, et cetera. They don't do that. Why? Because they enjoy these type of comments. But the funny thing is, the comment really has nothing to do with the story. It's just pure hate. You feel me? And that's what decafs are all about. That's why I'm glad we do have the internet so we can see what these fans really think about you. That's why I say the internet is a confession booth. But anyway, guys, we down to like 2 minutes. So I would ask you what you think about Freddie saying that, but I already know, Miss Boxing Baby, what you think, because you already said he should stay away from him, and I feel you on that. So anyway, well, 2 minutes left, guys. Let's go ahead and do the predictions. This weekend, another good fight at the Barclays Center out there in Brooklyn. You got Cruz-Frampton going against Leo Santa Cruz. I think this is a big-ass fight. Let's get your prediction. Let's start with you, AK.
Yeah, well, I think even though Frampton is moving up in weight, he's also fighting another guy who moved up in weight, running from Regan Diaz. They both running from Regan Diaz. So I'm gonna pick the like I said before. I think the coward of the Kings is gonna be Frampton, and hopefully they fight. They're not gonna fight Regan Diaz. Hopefully they fight Gary Russell so they can get their ass whipped by Gary Russell. But I think Frampton has more skills. He's gonna box, try to move around, control the distance. The jab of Cruz might give him a little bit problems, but other than that, I see Frampton taking it.
Miss Boxing Baby.
I think that Cruz should make this a dog fight, and I think if he make it a dog fight, he got the potential to stop him. But it depends on what type of fight it is. So I'm kind of up in the air with it, depending on how the fight plays out. But I think if he makes it a dog fight, then he'll have a very good chance of stopping Cruz-Frampton. Because I've never seen him in a fight like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I agree with you, Miss Boxing Baby. I'm kind of up in the air with this one, too, because I was actually impressed with Leo Santa Cruz's boxing skills against Abner Mares. I actually like how he was able to control range and distance. He would take little steps back and keep Mares at that distance of the jab, and he was outboxing and outworking Abner Mares. But I agree partially with AK. It seemed like Cruz-Frampton is a better boxer, where he might make Leo Santa Cruz look slow. So this is a tough one, man. I'm not confident with a pick, but I'm still slightly lean towards Cruz-Frampton, but it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. So
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. With Cruz, man, that 1-2 ain't gonna work all the time. Not versus a better boxer. I feel like Frampton has more dimension in his game. And even though, I don't know, I think his last fight when he fought the Mexican kid and he got dropped in the first round twice.
Alejandro Gonzalez's son, yeah.
Yeah, that was in his last fight, but that's probably the fight before that. And I think I've seen some things, even though he looked bad in the first round and so, but I've seen a couple things that I like. And I think his hand speed, and he got a lot of power too that people underestimate because he's like a shorter fighter. But I don't know how. I don't even think Cruz is going to be pressuring him that much. I think Cruz might end up trying to box him and use his range.
Oh, he will
to fight him.
Yeah, I think he will.
Because he's a taller and has more reach, which I think he's going to play into to basically he's going to doing that. He's going to make it easier for Frampton because
Thank you.
he's boxing a boxer.
Like that. I wouldn't box him. If I was Cruz, I'd make it a dog fight.
So Miss Boxing Baby, you picking Cruz though, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm picking Cruz.
Okay, all right. So that's it, guys. So 2-1 Crawford, 2-1 Cruz-Frampton over Cruz. We'll see what happens, guys, this weekend. Tune in and check it out. It should be a great fight on PBC. We'll see you guys next week. We're on to the next one, y'all. It's the Nation, baby.